The voice message from your brother's number, whispering "run," paired with the muddy footprints and the childhood drawing, is deeply unsettling. It's natural to feel a mix of hope, fear, and confusion, especially since you've never believed he drowned. Let's break this down logically while acknowledging the emotional weight. First, the voice message. It's possible someone is using your brother's old number. Numbers get recycled after years of inactivity. But the fact that it's his voice saying "run" suggests either a recording, an impersonation, or something stranger. If it's a recording, someone could have accessed old audio of him, which raises questions about who and why. If it's genuinely him, it challenges the drowning narrative and opens up possibilities of what happened 5 years ago. Do you still have the message? Listening again might reveal background noises or clues about its origin. Checking the phone's metadata, like the call's timestamp or location, if available, could also help. The muddy footprints and the drawing are even more alarming because they're physical. Footprints outside your door suggest someone was there, possibly watching you. The drawing, especially one so specific to your brother's childhood, implies either someone with intimate knowledge of your family or access to his belongings. Is the drawing an original or a copy? If it's the original, it could have come from a family member, an old friend, or someone who kept it all these years. The faceless figure is particularly haunting. Does it resemble anything from your brother's stories, fears, or experiences during that camping trip? The word "run" feels like a warning. Whether it's from your brother or someone else, it suggests urgency or danger. Here are some steps to consider. Secure your safety. If you feel threatened, trust your instincts. Check for signs of tampering at your apartment, locks, windows. Consider staying with a trusted friend or family member temporarily, and report the footprints and drawing to local police as evidence of potential stalking or harassment. Investigate the message. If you have the voicemail, save it and try to trace the number's current status through your phone provider. They might confirm if it's still registered to your brother or reassigned. If you're tech-savvy, tools like Truecaller or reverse phone lookup services might offer clues, though they're not always reliable. Examine the drawing. Look closely at the paper, ink, or any marks that might indicate its age or origin. If it's old, it could have been kept by someone connected to your brother. If it's new but replicates his style, someone's gone to great lengths to recreate it. Either way, it's a deliberate message. Revisit the past. The camping trip is key. Can you recall anything unusual from that time? Did your brother act strangely before he went missing? Were there any witnesses, counselors, or friends who might know more? If you have access to old case files, police reports, or even people from the trip, reach out. Sometimes small details resurface with time. Consider the supernatural cautiously. The faceless figure and the voice could point to something beyond explanation, especially if you've had other unexplainable experiences since his disappearance. If you're open to it, you might consult someone experienced in paranormal phenomena, but stay grounded. Scammers prey on grief. The voicemail was still on my phone, a 12-second loop of my brother's voice, hoarse, urgent, whispering "run" over and over. I played it again, my hands shaking, straining to hear anything in the background. There was a faint hum, like wind through trees, and maybe a distant crackle like a fire. It was too vague to pinpoint, but it felt like a memory from that camping trip 5 years ago when we'd sat by the lake under a sky heavy with stars. I hadn't slept since the message came through at 2:17 a.m. now, with the muddy footprints still damp outside my door and that drawing. My brother's drawing, clutched in my hand. I felt like I was teetering on the edge of something I couldn't comprehend. The drawing was old, the paper yellowed at the edges, the crayon strokes faded but unmistakable. It was us, stick figures with lopsided smiles, labeled in his childish scrawl. Me and Sis. And beside us, that faceless figure, tall, featureless, just a blank oval where a face should be. He'd drawn it obsessively when we were kids, always refusing to explain who it was. "Just someone," he'd say, eyes darting away. I'd laughed it off then. Now pinned to my apartment wall with a rusted thumbtack I'd never seen before, it felt like a warning. I locked the door, checked the windows, and shoved a chair under the knob for good measure. My apartment was a small one-bedroom in a quiet part of town, but quiet didn't feel safe anymore. I called the police, my voice cracking as I explained the footprints and the drawing. The officer on the line was polite but skeptical, promising to send someone when they could. I didn't wait. I snapped photos of the footprints, uneven barefoot, leading from the stairwell to my door and back, and bagged the drawing in a Ziploc to preserve it. Then I called my best friend, Mia, who'd been with me through every search party and sleepless night after my brother vanished. "Jess, you need to get out of there," Mia said the second I told her about the voicemail. "Come to my place." "Now, I can't just leave," I said, pacing. "This is about him, I know it's him. Or it's someone messing with you. Either way, you're not safe alone. Pack a bag, I'm coming to get you." She was right, but the thought of running felt like abandoning him all over again. I compromised. I'd stay until the police showed up, then meet her. While I waited, I pulled up my laptop and ran a reverse lookup on the number that sent the voicemail. The results were useless, just a generic carrier note saying it was a mobile registered in my state, no name attached. I tried calling it back, but it went straight to a robotic "this number is not in service" message. My stomach sank. How do you leave a voicemail from a disconnected number? The police arrived an hour later, 2 officers who looked more annoyed than concerned. They took my statement, glanced at the footprints, and bagged the thumbtack but left the drawing with me. "Could be kids pulling a prank," the older one said, scratching his neck. "Or someone who knew your brother trying to get a rise out of you. We'll file it, but without more evidence." He trailed off, handing me a case number. They didn't even mention the voicemail. After they left, I grabbed my phone and played the message again, this time on speaker, recording it to send to Mia. That's when I heard it, a faint, rhythmic tapping in the background, like fingers on glass. It hadn't been there before, or maybe I'd missed it. My heart pounded as I stared at my window, half expecting to see a face pressed against it. Nothing, just the dark street below lit by a flickering lamp. Mia arrived 20 minutes later, her car idling outside. I threw clothes and my laptop into a backpack, grabbed the bagged drawing, and hesitated at the door. The footprints were still there, smudged now from the officer's boots. I took one last photo, then noticed something I hadn't before. A tiny, deliberate scratch in the paint beside my doorframe, like a tally mark. It hadn't been there yesterday. At Mia's place, we sat on her couch, the drawing between us. She studied it, her face pale. "This is his, isn't it?" she asked. I nodded. She'd known my brother, too, had been on that camping trip, though she'd left early for a family emergency. "What if," she hesitated, "what if he's trying to tell you something, like from somewhere else?" I didn't want to go there, not yet. "Or someone's using his stuff to mess with me," I said, but my voice wavered. "Someone who knows what happened," Mia frowned. "Who'd do that? The only people who knew about his drawings were us, your parents, and maybe a few kids from school." "And whoever was at that camp," I added. The trip had been a school-organized retreat, 30 kids and a handful of counselors at a lake an hour from town. The official report said my brother, then 12, had wandered off during a night hike and likely drowned. They'd found his shoe near the water, but no body. I'd been 16, stuck at home with a fever, begging him to tell me all about it when he got back. He never did. I opened my laptop and started digging. The Camp Pine Lake retreat had shut down a year after the incident, citing financial issues. I found an old website archive with photos. Kids canoeing, counselors smiling, the lake glinting under a cloudy sky. One photo made me freeze, a group shot from that summer. My brother was in the back row, grinning, but behind him, half hidden by trees, was a figure. Tall, blurry, impossible to make out. No face, just a smudge where one should be. "Jess," Mia whispered, staring over my shoulder. "That's not normal." My phone buzzed, cutting through the silence. A new voicemail from his number. I didn't want to play it, but Mia grabbed my hand, nodding. I hit play, and his voice filled the room again, weaker this time, barely audible over a louder crackle like flames. "Run, Jess, it's coming." The message cut off. Outside, the street lamp flickered, and for a split second, I swore I saw a shadow move across Mia's window. Tall, thin, and faceless shadow outside Mia's window lingered in my mind. A silhouette burned into the edges of my vision. My brother's voice, his desperate, whispered, "Run, Jess, it's coming," played on a loop in my head as Mia and I sat frozen on her couch. The drawing lay between us, its faceless figure seeming to pulse with a life of its own. The air in her apartment felt thick, like the moment before a storm breaks. We didn't speak for a long time, both of us staring at the window, waiting for the shadow to return. It didn't, but the street lamp flickered again, casting jagged patterns across the room. "We can't stay here," I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. "Whatever this is, it followed me from my place to yours." Mia nodded, her face pale but resolute. "Where do we go? The police didn't take you seriously, and I'm not sure they'd believe whatever this is." I thought of the Camp Pine Lake retreat. It was the only link to my brother's disappearance, to the drawing, to the voicemails. "We go back," I said. "To the lake. If he's trying to tell me something, it started there." Mia looked like she wanted to argue, but she saw the set of my jaw and grabbed her keys. "Fine. But we're not going alone." She called her cousin, Ryan, a former park ranger who knew the area around Pine Lake. He agreed to meet us there with supplies, flashlights, a first aid kit, and at Mia's insistence, a hunting knife. I didn't ask why she thought we'd need it. The drive to Pine Lake was an hour of tense silence, broken only by the hum of the car and the occasional ping of my phone. No new voicemails, but I kept checking, half expecting another. The drawing was in my backpack, sealed in its Ziploc, and I couldn't shake the feeling it was watching me. Mia kept glancing in the rearview mirror like she expected something to be following us. Maybe it was. When we reached the camp, it was nearly midnight. The site was abandoned, the cabins boarded up, the lake a black mirror under a moonless sky. Ryan was waiting by his truck, his flashlight cutting through the dark. "Place hasn't changed," he muttered, scanning the trees. "Still gives me the creeps." We started at the lake's edge, where they'd found my brother's shoe 5 years ago. The ground was soft like it had rained recently, and our boots sank into the mud. I pulled out the drawing and held it up, comparing it to the landscape. The stick-figure lake, the trees, the two of us, and that faceless thing. "He drew this place," I said, my breath catching. "This exact spot." Ryan pointed his flashlight at the water, and for a moment I thought I saw something ripple beneath the surface. Not a fish, not a reflection, but something wrong. Mia grabbed my arm. "Jess, look." She pointed to the ground, footprints, barefoot and uneven, just like the ones outside my apartment. They led from the water's edge into the trees. We followed them, Ryan in front, knife in hand. The trail wound deeper into the forest, past overgrown paths and fallen branches, until we reached a clearing. In the center was a crumbling fire pit, surrounded by stones arranged in a pattern that made my skin crawl, a rough oval, like the faceless figure's head. Scattered around it were papers, yellowed and torn. I knelt down, my heart pounding, and picked one up. It was another of my brother's drawings, identical to the one I'd found, but this one had words scratched into the margins. "It sees. It knows, run." "Jess," Ryan whispered, his voice tight. He was staring at the trees. I followed his gaze and saw it, a shadow taller than any person standing just beyond the clearing. No face, just a blank void where one should be. The air turned cold and my phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't stop myself. Another voicemail. I hit play, and my brother's voice came through, clearer than ever, but slow, like he was fighting to speak. "Jess, it's not me, it's using me, don't let it." The message cut off with a sound like shattering glass. The shadow moved, gliding toward us without sound. Mia screamed, and Ryan shoved us both back toward the path. "Go," he shouted, brandishing the knife. But the shadow didn't stop. It didn't even seem to notice him. It was coming for me. I ran, Mia at my side, branches tearing at our clothes. The footprints led us back to the lake, and I don't know why, but I stopped at the water's edge. The drawing slipped from my hands, fluttering into the shallows. The shadow was behind us now, its presence like a weight pressing on my chest. I turned to face it, my brother's voice echoing in my mind. "It's not me." "Who are you?" I screamed, my voice raw. "What did you do to him?" The shadow paused, and for a moment I thought I saw something in its blank face, a flicker like eyes or maybe my brother's eyes pleading. Then the lake churned and a hand broke the surface. Not human, not entirely, but wearing my brother's friendship bracelet, the one I'd made him before the trip. It reached for me and I stumbled back, falling into the mud. Mia yanked me up and Ryan swung the knife, but it passed through the shadow like smoke. The hand sank back into the water and the shadow vanished, leaving only silence. My phone buzzed one last time. No voicemail this time, just a text from his number, a single word. "Sorry, we didn't stay to search the lake." We ran to the car, drove straight to the police station, and told them everything. They didn't believe us, not really, but they sent a dive team to Pine Lake the next day. They found nothing, no body, no bracelet, no drawings. Just an empty fire pit and a lake that seemed too still, too quiet. I don't go near water anymore. I deleted the voicemails, burned the drawing, and moved in with Mia. But sometimes at night I hear tapping on my window, like fingers on glass. And last week I found a single muddy footprint on my doorstep with a scratch beside it like a tally mark. One more than before. I don't know what it was or what it wanted. I don't know if my brother's still out there or if he's gone forever, trapped in whatever took him. But I know one thing, I should have listened when he told me to run.